Hello, listener, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Keeping Up Appearances podcast, full of opinion, debate, and football trivia with a hint of nostalgia. I'm Callum Murray, and here with me is
Sean O'Hara,
Bob Gall, and Michael Tosh.
They say not to judge a book by its cover, but we might judge a player by their appearance. Let's get into it.
It's Carter, what's he going to do? Ready! Jackson Ready! Oh, yeah!
Shame we're not doing Tottenham Chelsea.
We should probably talk about it, to be fair.
I don't know, I haven't actually seen it. I've just read about it.
The most chaotic game of football I've ever seen.
I also haven't seen it. I watched the highlights this morning.
Right, that was like the longest highlights. There was I think there was 4 or 5 goals disallowed.
Yeah, well, there was one for Son, wasn't there? One
Good.
for Caicedo.
For Son, one for Dyer, one for Caicedo. There might be one for Sterling. Was there a Jackson? Did Jackson get one chalked off as well?
Probably.
He was celebrating quite a lot for someone who scored past 9 men, and Tottenham didn't have any players in their own half.
Literally the exact same goal 3 times, wasn't it?
He sued on his hat-trick one. Even both the Tottenham play within 100 yards of him.
If you're being made out to be an absolute donkey and then you score a hat-trick against the league leaders, unbeaten team, you're bound to go a bit mad, aren't you?
However, do you know that Miss Jackson nickname he's got? I think it's unbelievable. Like, I think that's where the universe has peaked. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and his name does fit in perfectly to the song, doesn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, his mum and dad knew what they were doing.
Legendary history teacher as well.
That is a very good point.
Also linked to football. Husband played for Blackburn, apparently. That was always the rumour. She's my form tutor, legend.
Do you know her husband's name?
Matt.
Mr. Jackson.
Oh, I'll search that. Anyway, let's go. Just to let you know, I might have to shoot, so I might give me guess and then go, because we've got a house viewing tonight. So I'll have to back on Saturday in the house and that. So I might have to.
Do you know where you're thinking of moving to? Do you know?
We've got a house.
Oh, yeah. That was quick. Has it got a suitable space for a podcast studio?
Entrepreneur.
Yeah. Well, one of the rooms, Hannah keeps saying if we can have a baby room, and I'm like,
no, podcast room.
Yeah, so that's the plan. Right, should we go?
Yeah.
Hi, Tosh, by the way.
Hello, you right?
Hello, Tosh. So, welcome back to another podcast of Keeping Up Appearances. Again, back to the usual 4. Plenty of good chats coming up on a few different things. Obviously, we've got the return of Marooned 5 again for this week. We'll have a review and preview of our games, and we will have, of course, our Keeping Up Appearances competition towards the end. But I think first, since we're recording this on Tuesday afternoon, I think it's only right that we just touch quickly on what was possibly the most chaotic game of football I think we've seen in a long time. The Tottenham-Chelsea game last night. Anyone have the pleasure of watching it?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, thought it was fantastic. To be fair, I think just that first half, especially, is like the amount of stuff that happened in about a 15-minute period was just an absolute joke. Really, I think Udogie and Romero both could have been sent off twice. Obviously, about 72 disallowed goals. Tottenham were just mad. I thought the way they were playing that second half, how high they were, and everyone's talking about it, but it's so entertaining.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good game. I mean, the first 15 minutes, I thought Tottenham were incredible.
Brilliant, yeah.
They're so good, so quick. Just in just speed of play and everything. It was like you're in fast forward or whatever. I think Neville even said that in the game. Just so quick on the transitions and stuff. And did Son get his goal disallowed? That would have made it 2-0.
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah. So I mean, and then it was I think that was for Andre.
And but then, even that was a brilliant goal as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The way, Johnson's pass and Son's finish was fantastic move, that.
Really good. And then, obviously, I think it all sparked from that absolutely crazy and unnecessary tackle from that Udogie, which I mean, I don't know what he was thinking. It's like that mad 2-footer challenge. It seemed to just spark the game into something else. I think he probably maybe a bit fortunate not to be sent off, but I don't know. I thought
he should have been.
Yeah, I think it was one of them where the tackle itself is probably enough for a send off, but he did kind of get the ball. But yeah, I think he was walking a tightrope after that, wasn't he? And then obviously Romero should have went, I think, for the first one. I think if you kick someone, it doesn't quite matter if.
I don't know. I'm not sure about the
aggression.
first one. I think that when I first seen it, you thought, "Oh, we might go," and then after it was just a little sort of kick out.
Yeah, I think that's probably enough. I think, but yeah, and then obviously what he was thinking of that second one, I don't know. All of disallowed goals, I think it was the 5 maybe. Then yeah, as you say, even Tottenham in that second half still looked very good. I don't know what they were thinking with that line. I mean, the line just kept on getting higher until like they were no longer playing offside anymore because they were in Chelsea's half. But
there was one they did try to play one where it looked like they were in their own half, and in Chelsea's half. It was like, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I thought
genius.
Yeah, I thought Tottenham were great here. I thought Chelsea. I actually thought Chelsea were getting back into it just before the sending off. I thought Chelsea were looking all right, and then obviously just the madness and yeah, it just seems when you've got the second half that Jackson looked like you're starting to wonder how many people would have to be sent off for him to score, and then he obviously he gets his hat trick and fair play to him. I quite like he's quite entertaining to watch, but he's just mad. I got to a point where about 70 minutes was when you see like Mudryk, Sterling, and Jackson, you're thinking, will he actually score these three? Are these got it in it to be composed enough?
Yeah.
Obviously, he managed to, and even at 2-1, Tottenham had the chances, didn't they? Like Son had a good shot saved. They had chances from free kicks.
That Son's one was just before they scored the second, wasn't it? I think they went up. They attacked from that. I think from where Son,
that's right.
They attacked from that, which is such a blow. I mean, shout out to Tottenham's keeper.
Fantastic.
Some of those saves were incredible. The one where I don't know, he sort of dived at someone's feet and sort of blocked the shot. Then made the second save. Then made the second save straight after. It was incredible. But
yeah, I can't remember a game of football where it just seems like Gary Neville just seems to be going whole first half. It was just like one big long road. And then like so much, usually when you see like 12 minutes of stoppage time, you're like, oh, for God's sake! But that one was like, you were like, come on, more, please.
Yeah, it was incredible. And even to be fair, like even like Reece James, just before half time, where he's elbowed. Who did the elbow? Going up for the head, he elbowed someone just before half time. Was it Udogie maybe, or maybe?
I can't remember. I know what you mean, though. I thought Neville was sort of over-egging that one myself. I thought he caught him. I didn't think. I know he was trying to point that he was being a bit stupid, but
yeah, it was just. I think it was just like such a risky thing to have done with the way the game was going, and potentially, the ref wanting to make a bit of a leveler. But yeah, I mean, chaotic game, but really fun. I mean, from one chaotic game to maybe another chaotic game in possibly not completely the same vein, but the Arsenal Newcastle game on the Saturday. Did anyone watch that?
Seen the highlights, few and far between, really. But just referees just seem to be the main men the past few weeks. It's getting really boring.
What were your thoughts, Sean?
I mean, we had a little discussion before we started recording here, and we were trying to think of the main talking points of the match, and I think it's fairly telling of the quality of the game that we couldn't really remember any chances, any real moments of quality. It all just comes down to the terrible tackles or the stupid off the ball incidents, and then obviously the goal in the end, which was full of controversy. 3 cases where people seem to be agreeing or disagreeing on whether it was a goal or not. One thing I found hilarious is the amount of people who were posting all over social media that picture of like a ball next to something, showing it from the side and showing it from above, as if like we're all idiots. Like, I understand what a ball looks like, and if I'm honest, I don't really see the point in debating that, because the fact we're still talking about it 3-4 days later means there's no proof. So it's one of those things. If we didn't have VAR, we'd have just accepted that was a goal anyway, because that's what the referee's given. So I don't really.
It was a foul. That was the obvious one.
That's the thing for me as well. I think it should have been ruled out, because I do think it's a foul. Again, I know some people are saying he's already underneath the ball, but at the end of the day,
they're always given, aren't they?
2 arms in his back. I just don't understand how that's not a foul.
Yeah.
And even though I was happy for me mate Anthony, I don't think the goal should have counted.
Yeah.
Personally, I'd say as well. Go on, Tosh.
No, I was just going to say on that point you said, what surprised me was people always say, like, oh, Gabriel's got to do better. Just, like, I never really understand that. He probably should have done better, but it still doesn't mean he wasn't fouled as well. And that's like,
Exactly.
There's clearly two arms. He is ducking into it. And I'm sure I don't think I'm not massively aggrieved it wasn't a foul, but just the people who say, oh, like I think Neville and Carragher were both saying they didn't think it was a foul. And I think it's hard to, when you see the picture of the two hands in his back and he clearly gets underneath it. I don't know. Just that part was the bit that bewildered me a bit. Just people's like making out, oh, just because he should have defended it better, that means it isn't a foul, which I don't think is the case.
It's a foul like 99 times out of 100, isn't it?
Yeah. But then, in fairness, I also don't necessarily agree with how Arteta's managed it. I think
he can manage it however he likes.
No, I disagree. I think, like when we talk about like elite managers, I always remember like Mourinho, who, if a decision or something wouldn't go his way, everything with him seemed tactical. I felt like he was always in control of the situation. I don't feel like Arteta was in control there. I feel like he'd lost his head. And I just think stuff like that is when we see that the pressure gets to him a little bit, where he'll now be looking at City going, we can't afford to lose these games. But still, I don't think his head can go like it has been. He should be showing his players that he's calm, that he will deal with this, but he doesn't. He loses his head every time.
But referees, I know people are saying that it's getting a bit vicious now. They want to stick to that, but they've been getting away with absolute, obviously not murder. It's only refereeing decisions for years, and none of them have been held accountable. So I'm quite liking the slagging they're getting at the moment, because they do deserve it.
Most important man on the pitch, Bob.
No game without the referee, Bob. You've got to remember that.
It's not.
I'd quite enjoy it without the refs, to be honest.
I don't know. I think just with going back to Arteta, I think I just think I can sort of understand. Like, I don't mind that, but I just think that was the wrong time to go at it. Like, that wasn't the reaction. I can understand. Like, like when, say, if it was the Liverpool one, going back to that one, and Klopp comes out like that, which he sort of did, you could understand. I just think like the first big decision the referee got wrong, I thought, was not sending Havertz off. Like, I thought that was just a sending off every day of the week. And I don't know. It's just, I feel when I seen that interview, I was a bit like, it's just mad, just really mad. And yeah, I think when you watch that, if you watch that documentary, the Arsenal documentary, I've only seen bits, he comes across a bit like that Arteta. And I think that's something the players do sort of buy into, it, his passion and his. So I don't think that, the players would be too bothered. But yeah, I just think if you're going to have a big rant and a big thing about it, make sure it's like, I'm sure there will be at some point a decision that goes against you, a big one. I don't know why he's decided to pick that one.
But then he's also put the club in a difficult position, hasn't he? Because then the next day they issued a big statement.
That was also pathetic.
And you think, as you say, Tosh, at some point they might need to fight it like Liverpool did against Tottenham. But he almost gone a bit earlier on that one.
Has he?
He's played well.
Arsenal, but it was completely wrong, their decision. That decision.
I'm not sure it was.
I don't think it was, to be fair. I'm not sure.
It's completely
with the
wrong.
Goal, I don't think they've actually the ball going over the line or not is what it's impossible. They thought it stayed in. It probably has. Play on the offside. He got that right, and then the push in the back. I think I'm not actually sure he pushed him too much. To be fair, I don't think it was a unnatural push, as in to push him out of the way of the ball. I think he's put his hands up on the other person. When you put the still on it, and you can see Gabriel bending forward on his hands, I think it looks a lot worse than it is. But in like just the natural running of it, I don't think it's actually that much of a push. I think if you're giving that as a push, then I don't know how anyone goes and wins a header or anything. The defenders, Gabriel would have done the same thing to Joe Litton or the strikers for the whole game, going up for headers. I think you put your two hands on, that's it. I don't think he's like pushed them out of the way of the ball. I don't think.
I also think Gary Neville said after the match, didn't he? He said, "I'm disagreeing with me mates here. Like I'm disagreeing with lads that played footy with me that have like been involved in the game at the highest level, and even they're split on it. So like." The fact we're split on it and we've just played like a bit of Sunday League, they're playing like the same level. They live, breathe footy, and even they can't decide. So to say it was completely wrong, again, that's kind of the where we're at in it.
I probably am biased there, aren't I? Really, because I don't like Newcastle and I love Arteta.
and Bain said it was a foul. So.
I haven't asked him actually.
No, yeah, I don't think you can really moan at the ref for that one. It's probably one of them where, if we're all Arsenal fans, we've all said it's definitely a foul. But I think if it's for your team, you want it given. If it's against your team, you think it's not. But I don't think you can really blame the ref on that. There'll definitely be worse decisions that go on this season than that. 100%.
Worst decisions in that game.
Exactly, yeah. Probably like within 15 minutes of it. So I think, I don't think it's I don't think it's as a cut and dry decision. I wouldn't have been moaning at the refs too much over that decision. I don't.
It's also it's the precedent it sets, really, isn't it? Obviously, Liverpool have released their statement. So is that what everyone does now? You know.
Yeah.
You think
he didn't.
Yeah. Everyone apart from Everton. Everyone apart from Everton will do it.
But it's like Wolves, Wolves in the last few weeks have had some 2 or 3 shockers against them, and it's like you just now. It's like I don't know if you've seen Ange's interviews on like I think it was with an American channel, and again I know he's playing to his look how nice a fella he is, but he just says that's football. You just get on with it. Some decisions are good, some decisions are bad. I know he couldn't really complain about any decisions last night, which helps, but. Yeah, I don't know. I'm somebody who loves to slag referees off like Bob does, but I don't know. I thought that one was mad in the sense that particular incident, I didn't see much. I thought it was potentially a foul, but if you say it isn't, I can sort of live with that.
Maybe it is that Klopp has set the precedent there, and Arteta feels like his team has faced that injustice, so he's just following the lead there. I don't know. You done there?
Yeah, it was a good little debate. That bit of disagreement. What we like.
Didn't talk about the sendings off though, but do we need to now? Like the Havertz and Gamares or whatever, or do you want to just leave it if it didn't come up?
I mean, yours did. I don't think Havertz was a sending off.
Do you not know?
No. But then I also love the fact that kicked the whole thing off. Like that
was great.
It kicked the whole game off. It was quality.
I walked in back from it, like I'd come from Everton, and I literally walked in the door as that was happening. I was like, great. And I heard Neville saying something like, I wasn't been too good before that. But I just thought it was mad that instant Havertz's tackle led to 3 Newcastle players being booked, didn't it? Yeah. So it's like, you did well there, Havertz.
Havertz was walking around like he didn't know what was going on, while every Newcastle player kept booked. It was boss.
But again, worthwhile just saying it is another great result for Newcastle as well, who've had like a busy week. And we were saying last week about injuries, weren't we, and the injuries they've got. And that's a brilliant result. I know Arsenal weren't the best, but to still turn up and get that, I think. We mentioned it last week, but Howe's doing a brilliant job there, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's doing a very good job. Like Arteta, I think I just said there before, that's not the players are buying into it. I think the players have bought into Howe in a different way. I think it's almost like a bit of a, I don't know if he has kind of made a bit of an us against them either mentality, but not in like the kind of bitter way that usually is meant. I think he's just sort of got a real camaraderie there, especially between the fans and the club and stuff. Possibly a bit of a underdog mentality in parts, but I obviously think he's a very good coach.
I think as well, we said it last week when we talked about Ten Hag, didn't we? We mentioned, like about the us v them, Callum. It's probably like, like when all that money comes in, you're thinking your Longstaffs and your Lascelles and your even Joe Linton, who at that point was a bit of a sort of, everyone was thinking he was rubbish. They probably thought they're gone, don't they? And he's come in, he's given them a chance, and like they're all playing in the Champions League now and starting every single game. And I just think I think it's a real sign of a good coach who can make these players better. And like a lot of them players, they look brilliant. We mentioned Gordon again, brilliant on Saturday. Left wing up front, he's just doing a great job.
Yeah,
I do think though, Carl, I don't think he necessarily needed to create the us versus them. As soon as that money came in, it was made for him, wasn't it?
It's true, yeah.
I think what you make a good point that the fact that he's using that to his advantage is probably a good thing. Do you know what I mean? Like the whole country hates Newcastle. I think Bob already did, but they generally do because of all the money they've got. But he's turning that into something good that he's.
And where the money comes from.
Yeah, that's what I don't think it's like a. I don't think it's from like a place of like bitterness though. It doesn't seem to be like they've got a chip on the shoulder about it. It just seems to like brought them together in a way, if you know what I mean. It's just it doesn't seem to be like bitter or like, because I don't think he's that kind of person.
No, I don't.
He's kind of just like built up a bit of like a culture or whatever where it's just like they're together in it. And as Tosh said, with those kind of players, it's he's kept kind of those workhorse kind of players who maybe wouldn't have got a chance under other managers. because maybe it's not fashionable to have long staff in the midfield, but I think he's definitely kind of, I don't know, integrated the right people in the right team in the right way. I think, which is interesting. That they're getting the rewards for it. But yeah, the difference you can see in just a good manager, a good coach, is massive in what he's done to those players. But yeah, we'll see how they do.
Can we mention the trumpet at Nottingham Forest?
You can play. That can be song of the week.
Good idea. It was very, very good.
Don't let him play it though.
Something, the one at Goodison had a nightmare as well, but not quite as bad, and it set me off. So
I didn't even notice. I
thought he'd done well.
No, it was very, very, very slight, and it set me and Pat off briefly. But if I had been at Notts Forest for that, I would have been.
That's the fellow Goodison wasn't a little nerd as well, so
yeah.
Put that one out.
The watch's comedy goal. What there was a some form of evening at SFX where some nerd played the trumpet or the trombone.
No, it was Gilbert, and he was like,
That's quality.
That's what reminded
so
me.
Good. Yeah, it was so good.
That was the highlight of the weekend. That nerd.
Hope all the listeners enjoyed that little bit.
Yeah.
Legends of the brass game.
Right then, we're moving on.
So that wraps up a fitting finale to match week 11. On the themes of finales, I'm sure you're all aware that the greatest bands to ever walk the planet have released their final song this week. So that's triggered our Marooned 5 for this week. So
Marooned 5 released a song this week.
I didn't know Alphabet were back.
They did come back briefly, didn't he? So we should have done that the other week. No, I'm talking about the Beatles. So, sorry. I'll start again.
No, I'm talking about the Beatles and go from there, because that sounds quite good.
Okay. So, no, I'm obviously talking about the Beatles, and as we are a Fab Four from Liverpool, we'll move on to Marooned 5 this week. So take it away, Tosh.
I've done just done most of my intro, Bob. So yeah, just a recap from last week. So last week we looked at comebacks, and I got to say on it, there was a bit of a comeback itself. It looked like United Bayern was going to run away at one point, but I think the Super White Army at Tranmere took over the poll, and I think it was about 71%, Sean.
Yeah, it was an absolute landslide.
So hopefully we've got some more Tranmere listeners this week, because we talk about them every single week. It's mostly Tranmere content, really, if you don't switch off just yet. Okay, yeah, so Kumas, Aldridge, and the rest of the lads are going off to the island to join the Charltons and Van Basten. But let's see who's going to join them this week. So, as Bob mentioned, with the Beatles releasing their final ever song, we thought it would be an interesting one to discuss best ever finales. So, players, clubs, managers, etc., who we think ended their time with the club or their career in general on a high. The obvious one this week was the one that first came to our mind. We're going to go with Sir Alex Ferguson, who obviously left in 2013, I think, winning the league back from Manchester City in emphatic fashion. Do we all agree with that, Bob? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it was the first one that popped into my head, probably because United are in disarray at the moment in the past couple of weeks that they had prior to the Fulham game. Did just make you think of how important he was to the club and how it just completely collapsed since he left. And especially with him winning that league title with a pretty average squad, I think it just shows what an achievement that was, really.
It's an achievement that got better, didn't it, after he sort of went
to...
I think Van Persie, the sign of Van Persie at the start, leading towards it. But yeah, he announced just after, and obviously he became a poached our manager. But yeah, I think Sir Alex going out at the top, winning the league, the last league title Manchester United winning probably for a good long while, you'd imagine, the way things are going.
Yeah.
Right then, the order for this week. Maybe I never started, so maybe I'll start it this week with my selection. So my selection's going to be Didier Drogba.
I thought you were just going to go for Sir Alex Ferguson.
If we were putting a setting that up, wouldn't it, if I just done that? So yeah, I'm going to go Didier Drogba. Again, first one that sort of sprang to my mind, really. Chelsea, absolute legend. He would be ranked up there with any of their greats. I think one of the big things about him was his ability to score in big games. I think scored in 4 FA Cup finals. I think still holds the record for the most goals at Wembley in club games. And obviously ended his career winning in the final game for Chelsea. I know he did come back, and I'm sure someone's going to come back at me with that in a minute, but it ended this fair spell winning the Champions League in Munich against Bayern Munich. I think that whole run, Chelsea were nowhere near it. They should have been beaten by Napoli earlier on. Barcelona should have beat them. I think Drogba basically had to end up playing basically on the right wing back in the semi-final for his team. But I think the final really just sums it up. I think when you talk about the name being on a trophy and someone destined to that day, an unbelievable amount of shots they faced. Bayern Munich battered them, went 1-0 up, and it took a header from a corner, a fantastic header from Drogba, such a powerful header in injury time, taking it to injury time, obviously in extra time, taking it to extra time. In extra time, Bayern missed a penalty. It went to penalty, and Drogba steps up to score the winning penalty to win Chelsea their first Champions League. And I think your last kick in a Chelsea shirt, and it's a bit of a shame he came back, your last kick to potentially win your club the Champions League is just unbelievable. I think just that, the big game, Pele, because Chelsea had no right to even be in that final. They had no right to be only 1-0 down. They get a corner, which was, just out of nowhere, really. And he manufactures that goal himself. He runs, he gets it on the near post, an unbelievable bullet header. I just think, couldn't there be a better way to go out going away as the king? But yeah, that's going to be my selection.
Yeah, fair shout, I think. He's obviously like an iconic player, isn't he? Iconic. It's kind of legendary Premier League figure. Definitely a Chelsea icon as well. And yeah, I remember watching that game. I think I watched that with you actually, Bob, in town. That final.
I can't remember.
Dan's 21st, I think in Tribeca maybe. But
nice.
Quick question then, Sean. Where were you? Me and you that night then, Sean. There's the next question.
Do you really want me to say that on the pod, Tosh?
I was just you do.
Absolutely, Lou.
Where were you?
I'm worried. Do you think it's worse than it is now? We were at Girls Aloud.
Incorrect. Incorrect. You just told everyone that it was Westlife. Told everyone you didn't need to tell everyone we've been to Girls Aloud. Well, Westlife that night.
I saw it. I put on the Twitter the other day that we were at Boyzone, so we'll be getting a reputation now.
Girls Aloud. I'll tell you where we were at Girls Aloud. That was the night when Bale scored that brilliant goal away at West Ham where he runs and hugs Pochettino. Not Pochettino, Villas-Boas. We were at Girls Aloud that night. That was a Monday night.
Oh, okay.
Was that Westlife's final tour as well before he came back?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah, the finale. And also, the day before Girls Aloud, I was actually at the big reunion in London.
Yeah, you didn't invite me, you snide.
It was a panic buy, but yeah, 1 or 2 days that was. Top royalty.
Yeah, we're just getting off Drogba now though, so we just need to less chat about that. But yeah, anyone else? Are you gonna anyone disagreeing with Drogba? Anything to put in the negative?
I don't think so. No, he just always seems to score against Everton, didn't he?
Scored more against Liverpool though, I think.
Did he?
Well, I don't know, but I remember he was like the year before he signed. I remember him like knocking Liverpool out the UEFA Cup for Marseille, and I think he did tend to score against Liverpool. Also, one of his last ever games was scoring against Liverpool in the FA Cup final as well. So he did. But yeah, maybe not more, but he certainly scored a lot of games against Liverpool. Remember that one week? There's one where he spins Carragher and it's like a half volley.
Yeah.
Goal. Yeah. So yeah.
I think the thing the main thing that brings us down is the fact he came back, though, isn't it? Is that like if he hadn't been?
You saying he should have won last week as well?
What? Absolutely not. But I think if he hadn't come back, that's literally the perfect end to that story, especially when you think of his Chelsea career. Just the fact he came back almost.
I know, but it
doesn't necessarily sully the moment, but it takes away from it a little bit.
Takes away
it's not finale. Final act.
Well, yeah, that was a good point, Cal. Just the end of chapter 1.
Fair point. Okay, then.
On balance, good shout, Tosh.
Cheers, Callum. Means a lot. Anyone want to step forward with theirs next? Anyone want to volunteer?
I'll go next. Kind of linked to saying that it was a shame that Drogba came back to not quite soil his reputation, but he certainly didn't enhance it. The person I'm going for was a player that we should have mentioned a couple of weeks ago on premature retirement, but someone who kind of left long before he was expected to, or people would have wanted to. Another iconic Premier League player, and I'm going for Eric Cantona, who won the league title in his final season as a professional footballer, retired at 30, bowed out very early, but certainly on a high. As I say, iconic Premier League player, seems a very cool fella as well, and just almost an enigma, kind of a myth. It's being built up around him now. I think was there a book or a film called Searching for Eric, which was supposed to be quite good, and I think he's now a singer as well. Yeah, so I'll go for Eric Cantona, mainly because I was censored again on other people I wanted to go for, but I'll settle on Eric Cantona.
I think you say about you could have picked him for comeback area. I suppose you could have picked him for Mavericks.
Yeah,
I think you potentially could have picked him for overrated. I think you also could have picked him. He didn't get a lot of international caps. I know he wasn't a no cap wonder, so he could have been a veteran of the Marooned 5. But yeah, you forget. I knew he'd retired early. I didn't realize he just retired at 30. It is mad. That's the thing now. Like the lengths people go to. I suppose he sort of retired, didn't he? Like he'd had that first spell of United winning titles with all the old boys, with Mark Hughes and Brian Robson and people like that, and then he just sort of ushered in the class of '92 and that group that go on to win the treble. He saw it's probably the link between them two teams, but didn't see how go out. Maybe would they have won the treble with him? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they pushed on without him. Anyone else? Any thoughts on Cantona?
I've never really seen much of him, if I'm totally honest. He's always one of those where I feel like for our generation, the myth that Bob talked about almost kind of comes before him, if you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
And it'd be interesting though to watch not just like highlight clips, but to watch him a bit more to see just how good he was. But obviously, you just think the way people talk about him, I think he obviously was a good player. United fans absolutely adore him, and the fact that someone who clearly was that good and was that charismatic as well, he was a proper character in football. It was a massive shame that he went out so early, but he clearly, his heart wasn't in it. And I think, as you say, Bob, the fact that he's done so much since football, he's clearly just a very talented fella who had other interests, and fair play to him, he's done really well. But yeah, what a good way to go out anyway, by winning the title.
Champions League's better though. Drogba.
Wait till mine.
Well, without further ado.
Okay. So, as we're on the subject of Champions League, I'll talk about my selection, who had the most perfect finale twice with two different clubs, both in two very different circumstances. And I think to have it once, as Tosh says, with Drogba is obviously unbelievable, but to do it twice in the way that he did, I think sets my nominee apart. So my nominee is Jose Mourinho, who first completed this when he first came onto the scene at Porto, when he took a fairly unknown Porto team to the Champions League final. And yes, Bob.
Featuring your favourite Everton player as well.
Oh, of course, yeah.
There's a link.
Starring Nuno Valente. And I think Tosh mentioned it. Was it last week, Tosh, when you were talking about? Oh, was it the Ranieri week? Whatever week that was, I lose track.
Last week,
when we talked about that Champions League, and maybe if you look at the Final Four, it's not the strongest semi-finalists in the Champions League's ever had. But if you think of what Mourinho managed to do, even throughout that whole campaign, he was dominating in Portugal, but he kind of built an aura around himself and his Porto team, taking these fairly unknown players, and with the kind of the man management he's got, he made them believe he could beat anyone, and he made other teams believe they could beat him as they could beat them as well, which I think obviously has just been the thing he's done throughout his career. I also think those same players have a lot of them have since gone on to have big careers at other clubs, and they all started kind of with him at Porto. So obviously that was one, but I actually think his bigger finale is at Inter Milan, which happened 7 years later, where he was coming into an Inter Milan. So obviously, in between Porto and Inter Milan, he'd spent a few years at Chelsea. Couple of successful years, couple of league titles, and then that didn't really end as he probably wanted, so that he didn't get that fairy tale finale at Chelsea. Goes to Inter Milan, who are in the middle of, coming out the back of the Calciopoli. Is that how you say it? Anyone want to criticise me?
I don't know. Calciopoli, I don't know.
The match fixing scandal. So we come into an Inter Milan team who were arguably the strongest in Italy, but mainly by default, because you look at they got relegated. AC Milan had points deductions, things like that. Fiorentina, Lazio. So he comes into an Inter Milan team that have been gifted 2 league titles. Now, obviously, then he goes on to win some, but by all accounts, all Inter wanted was Champions League. In his first year, he didn't. I can't quite remember who he got knocked out by.
Was it Man United?
It was United, actually. Yeah, it's just come to me. He got knocked out by United, but apparently, by all accounts, Mourinho, being the tactical guy he is, he used that season to build for next season. Spent the summer putting his perfect transfer list together. And what I think is most special about it is how the players that he seemed to buy all seem to be, well, according to him, he's actually used a quote where he said, I bought angry players. He bought players with chips on the shoulder who at other teams had almost failed or been kicked out of teams. He bought Wesley Sneijder, he bought Samuel Eto'o. He even then went to Genoa and got Milito. And he bought these players that you maybe, again, trying to fit the Porto mould, maybe players you didn't fully know about. He took them all the way through Champions League, difficult round after difficult round. Along the way as well, which makes it even more special, he knocked Chelsea out. So he knocked his former club out, who obviously he hadn't had the perfect end with. He then went to the semi-finals against Barcelona, against a former colleague of his, Pep Guardiola, who would then go on to be his rival at his next club. And then in the final, he went up against his former manager when he was his assistant, Louis van Gaal at Bayern Munich. And I think that's still one of the Champions League finals a lot of people talk about as being special, because it should never have happened. And Mourinho already knew going into it was going to be his last game. You see the scenes afterward, he's crying with Materazzi.
Yeah.
He's gone in knowing it, and for his perfect plan to pay off, he wins the Champions League, takes it back to Italy, and gives the Inter Milan fans everything they wanted, the Inter Milan hierarchy, everything they wanted. And he's completed his dream twice, and then again moved on to bigger and better things, as he did Porto to Chelsea, and then Inter Milan to Real Madrid. Both times he had the perfect ending. He's not gone back. I know he obviously went back to Chelsea, so he's not gone back to either of those clubs to kind of change his legacy. What they'll remember him for are those 2 Champions Leagues, the unbelievable achievements. And I think for that reason, when he's looked back on by us and by those supporters, I think that's the legacy he's going to have. And I don't think he gets much better than that.
I was going to mention the Materazzi thing, but you already did. But the other thing was after the Barcelona game, that celebration just iconic, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah,
so good.
Because they all hated him even more, if you remember as well, from like the Chelsea days where he really hated Barcelona because obviously he'd worked there. He was, I think, I don't know, it was just before he went to Inter or after he went to Inter, Barcelona had rejected him for the job. It must have been just before. So I think he had an even bigger chip on his shoulder, but also it denied, I think, again, I could be wrong here, Sean, you've researched it, I think they won that final at the Bernabeu. And I think so, but it robbed Barcelona the chance of winning it at the Bernabeu. So, like, I think Real Madrid fans were already sort of made up with them because the last thing they'd have wanted was Barcelona winning the European Cup in their ground. But yeah, no, it's convinced that I definitely agree with you with the Inter once he was going. The Porto one always fantastic. I always think back. I remember when he knocked United out, like they were the goal wrongfully disallowed. I think mad to think what that difference that might have made. You know, had they got knocked out to Man United that night, and you know, as I say, but all I remember is because obviously that was back in the days where I got that one Champions League game a week. And I remember I hadn't seen Porto at all. I had seen Monaco a couple of times. and that final was just so comprehensive. Like Porto won 3-0, and it was just you think, oh my god, how easy is that for a final? And the same when they beat Bayern Munich in 2010. That was never really a game into just always winning that match. And you think how he's done that to get them just to win a final. He is unbelievable, Mourinho.
And it's also one of them with the Porto one. You think about when's the next time you're going to see a team.
Yeah.
Even when you think about like Champions League winners now, you're looking from Spain, Germany, England, aren't you? Not even like France or whatever the other, or France or Netherlands. It just doesn't really happen. So when do you think the next time you'll see a team from a league like that winning the Champions League?
Yeah, no, it's a good point. And again, I think nowadays, it's like I love it when a team like that Ajax team of a few years ago got to the semis, and the Monaco team with Mbappe and Bernardo Silva, they got to I think the semis of the quarters. That's the best they're ever going to do these days, because you just know there's going to be one big team left doing it who are going to win it. So, I mean, it's an unbelievable achievement. Winning that with Porto is just just unbelievable. And I say with Inter, I'm pretty sure they've got a very proud European history, but I don't think they'd won since the 60s before that.
Yeah,
so he's a god
40
there.
G's.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable, really. Porto had won one more recently. I think they won it in the 80s. So, yeah, great. Any other points on Mourinho? I think that's a very good case, that, to be fair.
I agree. I think it's a good shout. I'm a big fan of Mourinho. I like Mourinho. I think, as we said before, with the whole us against them mentality, I think he's the best at it. And he gets the best out of his team through that. Yeah, big fan of Mourinho, and 2 good club finales or last seasons at clubs.
Go on then, Cal. Wrap it up for us.
So I will go for probably. It's not really a case of someone having a really illustrious end to a career of which they deserve to go out on a massive high, but I think it's an end and a finale that kind of just maybe summed up somebody, maybe, I don't know, possibly summed up human nature, if we're going to go deep. But there's a quote from Aristotle that there's no great genius without some touch of madness, and I think that sums up Zidane quite well. So I'm going to go Zidane with his World Cup 2006 finale. Obviously, he'd finished the season at Real Madrid and he hadn't done much, to be fair. I think he just got his maybe 500th, I think it was, career appearance that season. That was a personal note. Obviously, he ended his career at Real Madrid as a great of the game and Real Madrid legend, but he didn't actually do anything of any note that season, I don't think. But obviously, he went into the World Cup with France. And yeah, I think it was, maybe looking back for us, it was a period of great football for us, people our age, sort of that 2006 final, the World Cup balls, those Adidas kits, always kind of really iconic, I think, looking back. And yeah, I think Zidane in that World Cup was just unbelievable. I think he got maybe 3 goals, 2 assists. Look back at clips now, I think that the quarter-final they played against Brazil, where he was just incredible. They just couldn't get the ball off him. I think it just showed what he was all about, such a good talent and just one of the all-time greats of the game. And obviously, again in the final, to take that penalty and do the Panenka, it's just insane. I think to do that at that moment. And score that against Buffon, probably one of the best goalies in the world at the time, one of all-time greats. And yeah, to look like he was going to lead his nation to a World Cup and be that genius. But then, of course, we had later on in the game that touch of madness that came where the switch flipped against Materazzi and he headbutted him. And obviously with something that's massively iconic now, and get sent off. And yeah, unfortunately France lose on penalties. But yeah, again, I don't think it's one of those. It's not the way his career deserved to finish. I think him winning the World Cup would have been a perfect fit, and I think, and to do it that way with scoring that Panenka. But yeah, I think it's just a nice end to a genius, I think. And what a player. I think, yeah, just maybe possibly summed up in a bit of a game, and it's something that will always be remembered. And I think he's a player who will always be remembered and bowed out in the most infamous possibly fashion. But yeah, I'll go with Zidane's career end in the 2006 World Cup.
His boots were great for that tournament as well. The gold.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. That era of us. So we would have been 14-ish, that time. I think I remember, you know, those Predators, the World Cup the Adidas World Cup footballs at the time that did like the France kits is like so nice. And then as well, that I don't know, that kind of just era of football was great for things like that. And yeah, I just think it was a decent World Cup, and you know, could have been the very, very, very best way for Zidane to go out. Change a bit, a couple of unfortunate circumstances, but I still think it's just an iconic way to end a career, I think.
So are you not going best finale then? Are you going most memorable?
Yeah, I just think it's like a real iconic finale, I think.
I don't think that was the brief, was it?
Callum's always
Tosh's
flexible with this.
Tosh's wasn't a finale.
Well, it was.
It was for that.
You spell it without the E.
Same for Callum, to be fair. I just think, for me, obviously I understand, and you still hear now, don't you, people like eulogise all about that tournament and how Zidane was in that tournament, especially when you think about like playing against England and stuff. But I just, in terms of that his finale, that's not what people think about. And that's where I always think in this argument, I mean, obviously you can put it forward, that's fine. But I just think people always remember the headbutt, and he goes out as almost like, I don't want to say a bit of a child, but like, what a stupid way for such an elegant footballer to go out. It's like two opposites of how he played to then that stupid decision he made.
Yeah, but isn't that why it was so great?
I completely disagree with you, Sean. I think it is a great finale.
It isn't.
It is.
It is.
It can't be.
It is, because again, I don't think it matters that he did that. What that happened, I think it makes it better. They might have just lost that. They might have just lost it anyway, and it makes it better that he did that, losing it like that.
But you can't say that. You can't go. They might have lost it anyway.
Sean, I'm going to mute you.
Don't start doing that.
Child now.
I think what Callum's point is correct. That, like, as a finale for him, that tournament, he was someone. Zidane, you see a lot of sort of debate about his career. The one thing you say is about, you know, he won he scored the 2 goals in the '98 final, 2006. He sort of dragged France there. I know there was lots of good players, and in that final, he's obviously done what he's done, and he's just got sent off. And I actually don't think they would have won it. I think Italy's sort of name was on that with all the same scandal you'd mentioned about before, and Italy dragging themselves there. And Italy have got that sort of way. And I think Zidane had his moment in a World Cup final where he'd scored his goals. He'd scored in that one. Not many people have scored in 2 different World Cup finals. And I'm with Callum. And I had to promote my new book I'm reading at the moment, Sacre Bleu. Matthew Spiro says the same, and he actually says, and the thing that I think is interesting, the way we were talking about Beckham last week, and about the way, you know, you think about the reaction when he got sent off in '98. It talks about in here that in France, no one was actually bothered about him. No one actually sort of batted an eye. The president came out and praised him, saying he's a man of heart, commitment, and conviction. So that's not my words, so that's the words of Jacques Chirac. So take it up.
Let's see if Jacques Chirac's following us on Twitter. If so, we can vote.
Yeah, does anyone know his at or?
If not, unlucky.
Sacre Bleu by Matthew Spiro, book of the week.
But tell you what, Tosh, you don't have to go through some books, don't you?
Yeah, it's a good one. I'm only halfway through this one now. But yeah, no, it was just topical. I'm with Callum. I think it's a great shout. I actually think it's one of the more obvious ones. And I think it just sums up. It's not all about winning. It's about things you do and moments you do. And I think it's a brilliant way to go out. Imagine going out sort of defending your honour, defending your family's honour, headbutting someone. And that's something that's remembered forever.
I'm not having this.
That's best. Once again, no one. Oh, you won a penalty shootout. No one would remember that. Everyone remembers what he's done there. He's already won a World Cup.
Sorry. So right, you're saying it's great. So right, picture now. Imagine kids watching this match and they see this footballer who their dad's gone on about is the greatest footballer you've ever seen. He's so skillful, everything you could possibly want in a footballer.
He's got that dog in it.
And then he does that. You want your kids to do that? I think it's an absolute joke. I can't believe this has happened.
Nah, Sean, you're wrong.
You're wrong on this one, I'm afraid, Sean. There's a statue of it as well, isn't there?
Yeah, there is, which is exactly why it's ridiculous. He's been immortalised as a big baby.
But he was also unbelievable in that tournament.
All this defending your family's on it. What? Like, what Materazzi said to him is something kids say to each other in school every day. Your mum this, your mum that, and he headbutted him in a World Cup final as the captain.
Yeah, but could the kid score a Panenka in a World Cup final?
Probably not.
There we go then.
That's you silent, Sean.
Absolute nonsense.
I think, yeah, we're obviously going to have to disagree with that one. So we'll wrap up a feisty Maroon 5 there. So we'll quickly run through the votes. So remember, finales, we've got Sir Alex as the obvious one, Drogba, Cantona, Jose, and Zidane. Remember to go and cast your vote on X or Twitter, whatever you choose to call it. And we'll see who's marooned this time next week. Okay, shall we get ready for the picking the game this week? Is the wheel prime and ready to go, Sean?
It isn't, but it will be now.
Callum mentioned the phrase human nature before, so I was going to suggest that as song of the week.
I mean, is the Beatles song not the song of the week?
Yeah, it's got to be.
I'd change my mind, yeah.
Sorry, I can't remember what the games were.
Oh, for God's sake, all the planning we do, Sean, and you're letting us down.
I was too busy arguing.
At least he was on time this week, at least.
I was early.
I had another book as well. I read a biography for Zidane this week. It was the other year as well, so I had that one. So I was torn between two. That's a very good book.
So you're biased then?
You can't be biased to football and genius.
Not wrong.
That's why I mean, get on. Feisty but great footballers. Is that a Boca top there, Bob?
It is, yeah.
Were you gutted the other night, Bob?
What?
Were you gutted the other night when they lost?
Yeah, heartbroken.
Yeah.
Did you watch it?
No.
I watched the second half. Yeah, it was good on it.
It's just another feisty one, wasn't it? Just fighting all the time. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Okay. It's time then to pick our game for this week. So, as I coined last week, now that they're in, it's time to spin.
I had a few people saying it as well this week.
And the game this week is, I always show you, even though you can't see it on the Zoom, it's Wolves against Spurs.
What a game.
We shouldn't need much prep here because we've done Spurs, haven't we? And also I need to go, so
Some Wolves then.
yeah. I also didn't watch any of Wolves at the weekend, so
Tottenham have only got about 4 players available, haven't they? So that should make it interesting.
Pretty heavy times, isn't it, for Tottenham?
But no defence as well. That's what Ledley King's up to. He's used to not trading.
Tosh, don't say any more players or you'll be accused of cheating for listing names.
Oh, yeah. Forgot about that, yeah. Keep Ledley King under me hat. But someone's already guessed him in the past, I think.
I had Ledley King.
Yeah, so... now, I seen, obviously, watched Tottenham. We spoke about that one. I seen the highlights of Wolves got beat to Sheffield United, didn't they? Again, they were losing 1-0 and scored quite late on. And then, very good goal, actually. I can't remember the name of the fellow who scored it, but a nice finish. Archer. And then, obviously... What was it, sorry?
It was Archer, wasn't it?
No, I'm talking about for Wolves. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
The lads go for them. That was also a great goal, though, by Archer. And then, obviously, done by a bit of a penalty similar to the one we spoke about last week, where at first viewing it looked like a penalty, but on second viewing, I think probably a bit dodgy again. How VAR hasn't spotted it. But Wolves, I think, they seem a bit mad, but they seem capable of, they've obviously beaten Man City. They took Liverpool very close. They should have got something against United, but then they've beaten British teams. Like I think they drew with Luton. They got beat to Sheffield United. They just seem a bit mad. So I think they maybe built a bit more to play on the counter. Like I think someone like that Cunha, he looks like powerful and running. I remember against United, he was really breaking down the pitch, and I think they're obviously going to miss Neves massively. I don't know how long is he out for. He went off injured against Newcastle. I'm not too sure, but
you mean Neto?
Yeah, what's they say?
Neves.
Who's he?
Ruben Neves, who doesn't play for them anymore.
Oh yeah, the midfielder. Yeah, Neto. Sorry, I meant. Thank you. Yeah, so they're obviously losing a bit of something there, but I think they've certainly got enough to trouble Spurs. I think particularly with what Spurs will be missing. But it'd be interesting to see, how Spurs can react. I suppose with a couple of people suspended and the players injured, Maddison potentially, and obviously Van der Ven. Be interesting.
Sorry, because as I said before, I've got a house viewing. Hannah's about to hoover, so I need to mute myself. So you talk amongst yourselves.
I was going to say, do we need to talk and just get on with it kind of thing? You're still muted, John.
Can you hear the hoover? No.
No.
Oh, sorry.
I can.
Go ahead, then we need 2 predictions, don't we?
That's all we've got for the game.
Well, no one else spoke. As I said, I didn't watch any of Wolves, so I know they've been a bit hit and miss this year, but they've got a couple of decent results, haven't they? Obviously, that draw against Newcastle, which arguably they should have won. And then the following week, you go and get beat by Sheffield United, which is obviously the worst thing you can do currently in the Premier League. So I don't know, but Tottenham are just an unknown quantity because Ange, for me, seems to want to play the same. I didn't watch Chelsea, Tottenham, but I've watched the highlights and stuff. And by all accounts, even when disaster happened and he got red cards and injuries, he stuck to the same style of play.
Mm-hmm.
So it's whether his second string, for me, can do the same job as his first 11.
Yeah, I'll be interested if the defenders who come in are as comfortable doing what he wants them to do on the ball and stuff.
Yeah, because
obviously without much match experience.
That starting 11 seems to have been fairly consistent, hasn't it, this season? So it's not like you're bringing one player in here, you're bringing quite a few. Obviously, how long will Maddison be out? He's going to be a couple of weeks, isn't he?
He did kind of walk off.
Yeah, and he didn't look like he wanted to come off.
No. He wanted another roast dinner.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Van der Ven,
the game's not on Sunday,
hamstring.
That looked really bad, yeah. Yeah.
But again, I think it's even just like the playing with that high line. He can do that with him. Even that high line could be dangerous. As we say, Wolves have got a bit of pace up there with that Hwang and stuff. It could be an interesting one for Wolves there to try and hit them on the counter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Wolves might give them a game. Again, it's probably ordinarily you say that Spurs just bats them, don't you? See who comes in and how they play. But generally, I think Tottenham will probably just have enough to win that game. So, I mean, as a first prediction, I'll go with 2-1 to Tottenham.
I'll go 4-1 Tottenham.
Is that Wolves, yeah?
Yeah, Ange Ball's going to have a good day, I reckon.
I'll book the trend. I'll go 1-1.
I was going to go 1-1, but I'll book the trend again, and I'll go 2-1 Wolves.
You can't stop predicting some of our relegation rivals to win, Sean.
I can, because I'd also predict Everton to lose, so it's fine.
He also predicted a high score and 1-0 last week, though. So
was I wrong?
Well, you said the other way, but
Doesn't matter.
It's high score and the 1-0 as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Right then, so it's time to pick our number for said game. So obviously Wolves against Tottenham. So as always, it's between 50 and 450. And to coin Tosh's catchphrase, if you're in a slumber, let's get the number. Did you hear anyone saying that, Tosh?
No, I forgot I'd said it, to be honest.
Yeah, right. So our number this week is 114.
Good number.
Literally.
Good number.
Are we saying current or no current for that? Are we putting that on ourselves?
Should we have a limit of 100 for current?
Yeah,
I think that 114 is fine for current players.
Yeah, but you always go current though.
But when's the cut off though? It's like we need our number to cut off at, don't we?
I thought it was always 100.
I had to go 115 personally, but
you know what? I'm not bothered.
No, we're joking. Yeah, go. I'm happy with that.
So should we go hundreds current?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds right. I might have to do mine and then go. But then if you just carry on and we need to do the song. Bob, do you want to do the song because it's the Beatles?
Like sing it or?
No, well, it'd be better than theirs, to be fair.
Read.
Can you mention the Amarillo video as well?
Well, then I'd have to mention Jimmy Savile and that'd be frowned upon. So just say, while we're thinking song of the week this week is...
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we'll do. What was the number again? Sorry.
114.
I think that's my catchphrase.
Yes.
Callum's is this is way off.
So when are you doing the song, Bob? At the end? Or now?
I'll do it now.
You can do it at the end if you want to have a think, but just make sure you remember.
Okay.
I also need to speed it up as well. Can't just have me and Bob doing, like, if Callum has to go to footy and me and Bob are left. Imagine the chaos that's going to happen if it's just us two left and trying to organise it.
That's what I'm hoping for.
You'll be laughing when all the hours ended up deleted.
So when I get the recording through,
it'll just be me on my own as well because Tosh will keep on breaking up.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so I have a think. I'll do the song of the week now.
Okay, go ahead.
So we've got the number for this week. I've just been reminded for the fourth time that it's 114. So we're going to have a couple of minutes to think. And while we do that, have a listen to the song of the week, which, as we mentioned before, the Beatles are back, despite two of them being dead for a combined 66 years, I think it is. They're back with another song called Now and Then, so give that a listen and appreciate the greatest band of all time. Probably not at the best, but still worth a listen. Actually, you should mention, make sure you watch the video as well, because it's comedy gold.
What's the thing with the video? What is it?
They've just got like stock footage from years ago and then just put modern day Paul and Ringo into it. It is very, very funny.
It's like, do you know my Photoshop and I put all our faces on Maroon 5?
It's like that, yeah.
It's like that, yeah. I'm open for a job out of it. Right, can I do mine and then shoot? Yeah. I will go this week for a Wolves player based on the fact I think he was quite old when he went there, even though he's always looked about 50. And I'm going to go from a player from when Wolves were in the Premier League when I was a kid, which may be from the time of my sticker book, but I can assure you, Tosh, I haven't checked it, I promise. So I'm going to go for Dennis Irwin.
Great shot.
I know he was at Wolves. I don't know how long he was there, but he was old. So he's probably there about a season or two.
I thought you were going to go from that team. I maybe shouldn't say, but I was going to say, maybe in case someone's got it. It's not my guess, but I thought you were going to say Paul Ince on that team as well. He was there that time, wasn't he? That year
He was, yeah.
In that I was thinking you were going to say then when you said old.
Doritos kit. That's what I remember, Wolves.
Yeah, I think it might have been that season.
Yeah. Was he only there one year?
Well, no, they were up and down for 1 year, around about 3-4. I think it was that year, that season you had. Is everyone else ready to go? I can do mine.
Should I do a couple of minutes, I think?
Go on. Sorry, lads. I'm going to shoot.
Oh, cool. Nice one. Nice one, Sean. See you in a bit.
Okay. One of you thinking, I'll have another think then.
Have you only got one?
I think I've got two. I'm just trying to think which one would be a better one.
I think I've got one, but I'm happy for either you to go first.
We just wait till Callum's got his.
Go on. I'll go my one. I've got one.
Do you want to go then, Cal?
Okay. Yeah. So I will go. I mean, I've been accused of going for current players, so I won't go for a current player this week. I will go for someone who I think was kind of early 2000s for a few years. Someone who I kind of remember playing when I was, I think, much younger. An American, which is possibly going to be a theme coming up in future weeks. And shout out to our big American fan, Max Burns. I'm going to go with Casey Keller, who I think was probably there for a few seasons. Yeah, hoping that might take it up to about the 114 mark. So yeah, my shout's Casey Keller.
I've got no idea. I suppose you could have got another American goalie play for Spurs maybe as well. I don't know. I thought that's where you were maybe heading. I honestly no idea that one. I'm actually going to go goalkeeper as well. I'm going another Spurs goalkeeper. I went, and again, I had a couple of me thoughts. couldn't really think of a Wolves one. I'm not great. I was thinking, me think of the Wolves could have been maybe Gianmutino. So he was my second one if someone else would have picked the one I'm going. So I'm going to go another keeper. I'm going to go Heurelho Gomez.
Nice. There's a
No
chaotic
idea.
player. There's a chaotic player for you.
Yeah, I know.
How'd you feel with the play last night?
Spurs have always done rubbish on the Spurs ones, I think. So I'm just thinking goalkeeper. So yeah, that's my guess.
Bob?
I've completely forgotten who I was going to go for.
You want Gianmutino?
No, okay, thanks. Oh, for God's sake. It's going to do me head in now.
I'm going to start checking why you're doing it, Bob, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just because it usually takes me 4 hours.
You've only got 2 to check. Oh, no, sorry, 3. Sean as well.
Yeah. I'm struggling at the moment to spell Heurelho Gomez.
I've just checked this, to be fair. Well, mind you, actually, I didn't do it on Transfer Market. It's Heurelho.
No, wait a minute. I'm sure it's just I was trying to do it with Transfer Market. I'll do it the other way around and then just type his name.
I've got it. It came back into my head because he's like such a random player.
Is there an Everton link?
No Everton link. I was almost going to go for a Liverpool link, but I thought that would have been completely against the rules for me. I was going to go for Diogo Jota.
Yeah.
So gone Tottenham player. Gonna go for Yunus Kabul.
That is a random one.
It should have been a memorable name to stay in my head, but
Me to check Yunus Kabul, Tosh. You check mine, I'll check Yunus Kabul.
I've already done yours, yeah. Transfer Market 100% accurate.
I think so, yeah.
There was one year, me and Dominic the other week, we were looking at where Everton had finished one season, me and him were arguing, and he checked, and it was different on Transfer Market than where we'd actually finished.
All right.
Yeah, got them. So the results are in, as always, verified on Transfer Market. So if you're checking, that's where you can compare your answers to ours. Not the best of guess, massively close. So in 4th place, 33 out with 81 appearances, is Dennis Irwin. So Sean is getting 1 point. In 3rd place, second and third were both 1 appearance apart. That was quite close. So with 135, so this is 3rd place, sorry, with 21 out is Yunus Kabul. So Bob, 2nd place with 134 was Hooray. That means Callum this week has won with Casey Keller, which was 98, so 16 out. So Callum takes home the 4 points this week.
That was for you, Max.
Oh, you big nerd.
Well done. And Max does like going in goal.
He does as well, to be fair. USA. Yeah, I'll take that. Thanks, Casey Keller. Michael Casey was also a good goalie as well. So
I was amazed you hadn't mentioned him earlier.
Yeah, but he didn't like blasties if you were in goal.
Good stuff. So that was another, hopefully, a good episode of Keeping Up Appearances for you all. Some great debate on the weekend's football. We had a very interesting edition of Marooned 5 with some, good finales mentioned. Please head over to our X account and vote. And yeah, a very close round of Keeping Up Appearances with some good random shouts in there as well. I'm glad to take all the points on there. I'm not sure what it does to the league table. I'm sure Sean will figure that out. But yeah, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Good job, Cal. Just if you're interested, it puts you into 2nd position, Callum.
Really? Is right.
Sean 32, Bob 34, Callum 35, and I've made it up to 40.
I'll take it. Good stuff. Guys, I will have to shoot, okay?
Well, I'll go as well then.
See you later. Nice one.
We don't have to do anything else, do we?
Just send Sean the recording, I assume.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, just send it.
Yeah, see you later.
Nice
See you
one.
later.
Bye. Bye.